When developers can directly access production systems, or when untested code flows directly into live environments, the risk of serious security incidents increases dramatically. ISO 27001, 2022 Control A.8.31 requires organizations to separate their development, testing, and production environments to prevent development and testing activities from compromising the integrity, availability, and confidentiality of production systems. In this video, we explore the three-environment model, access controls, data flows between environments, and how infrastructure as code supports effective environment separation. Let us begin by understanding the three-environment model that A.8.31 is built around and why each environment requires distinct access controls and data policies. Control A.8.31 requires organizations to maintain clearly separated environments for development, testing, and production, with different access controls, data policies, and change promotion processes governing each. The three-environment model creates a progressive quality gate through which code must pass before reaching the systems that real users and real data depend upon. The development environment is where code is written and initially tested by developers in a low-risk context. The test or staging environment mirrors production closely enough to provide meaningful verification of functionality and security. The production environment is the live system where only validated, approved code is permitted to run. Developer access to production is one of the most significant control weaknesses in software-dependent organizations. When developers can directly access production systems, the separation of duties that protects against both accidental misconfiguration and insider threat is absent. Developers making direct production changes bypass the testing and approval processes that catch errors before they affect live systems. Access to production should be restricted to operations and release management roles, with developer access limited to read-only for diagnostic purposes and only under defined, logged circumstances. The flow of real personal data from production into development or test environments creates serious data protection risks. Developers typically have broader access within their environments than is granted to other staff, and development environments generally have weaker security controls than production. Real personal data in development environments means that data can be inadvertently exposed, logged in error messages, committed to version control, or accessed by developers whose roles do not justify that access. Data masking and synthetic data generation are the required mitigations. The change promotion process is the governance mechanism that enforces environment separation in practice. It defines the criteria a piece of code must meet to be promoted from development to test, and from test to production, typically including successful build completion, passing of automated tests, security scanning results within acceptable thresholds, peer review sign-off, and information security or change advisory board approval. Without a formal promotion process, environment separation becomes a policy without an enforcement mechanism. Four key concepts that underpin the effective implementation of A.8.31 across development, test, and production environments. Environment parity is the tension at the heart of A.8.31. Test environments that do not closely mirror production will produce test results that do not accurately predict production behavior, meaning security testing conducted in the test environment may not detect vulnerabilities that will manifest in production. Achieving and maintaining parity requires disciplined environment management, configuration documentation, and a process for synchronizing environment configurations when production changes are made. Infrastructure as code transforms environment management from a manual, error-prone activity into a repeatable, version-controlled process. When environments are defined in code, the configuration of each environment is documented, auditable, and comparable. Differences between environments are explicit and deliberate rather than accidental and invisible. IAC also enables rapid environment provisioning, supports environment reset for clean testing conditions, and provides a natural audit trail of environment configuration changes. Data masking enables development and test teams to work with data that has the structural characteristics of real data, realistic formats, volumes, and distributions, without the privacy risks of using actual personal information. Effective masking preserves referential integrity across database tables, maintains data format and length characteristics, and produces results that allow meaningful testing of application behavior with realistic data volumes. The masking process itself should be documented, and the masked datasets should be treated as controlled assets. Separation of duties between development and production operations is the fundamental principle that A.8.31 implements through environment separation. A developer who can both write code and deploy it to production without review has the ability to make undetected changes to live systems, creating risk of both accidental disruption and deliberate fraud. Separating the environments creates the structural condition that makes separation of duties enforceable. Production deployment is a distinct activity performed by a different role following a defined process. Now let us explore how organizations implement A.8.31 effectively through access controls, IAC practices, data management policies, and change promotion governance. Effective implementation of A.8.31 requires technical controls that enforce access boundaries between environments, data management practices that prevent personal data from reaching lower environments, and governance processes that control the promotion of code and configuration changes through the pipeline. Role-based access controls must be defined separately for each environment, reflecting the different risk profiles and information types present in each. Developer roles grant access to development and read access to test environments for diagnostic purposes. Test and QA roles grant access to test environments. Operations and release management roles grant access to production. These boundaries must be technically enforced, not merely policy requirements. Through identity management systems, network controls, and environment-level authentication that prevent access based on credentials rather than good intentions. Infrastructure as code supports A.8.31 by making environment configuration explicit, comparable, and controlled. When the configuration of every environment is defined in version-controlled code, security reviews can verify that lower environments are appropriately configured, that production-equivalent security controls are present in the test environment, and that no manual ad hoc changes have been made to environment configurations outside the controlled process. IAC also enables rapid recreation of environments to a known good state following testing activities. Implementing data masking requires identifying all data sources that feed into lower environments, defining masking rules that preserve functional characteristics while eliminating personal identifiers, and establishing a process for creating and managing masked datasets. Masked datasets should be created from production snapshots at defined intervals to maintain representativeness, and the creation process itself should be access controlled to prevent the extraction of unmasked data as a side effect of the masking process. The change promotion process is the operational expression of environment separation. It should define the technical gates, automated test pass rates, security scan thresholds, build success criteria, and the human approval steps, peer review, security review, change advisory board approval, that a change must satisfy at each stage before promotion. The process should be documented in the change management policy, automated as much as possible through the CI/CD pipeline, and audited regularly to ensure it is being followed and that bypasses are identified and addressed. Let us bring together the essential points from our exploration of Control A.8.31. To master all 93 ISO 27001, 2022 Annex A controls and develop the expertise to implement them in your organization, enroll in our complete Udemy course. We provide practical implementation guidance, policy templates, and the real-world context you need to succeed. Enroll today. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe for more ISO 27001 control explanations. See you in the next video.